Coming up on Beauty and the Biohacker.
And the reality is I'm taking the product, the whole team is taking the products, our families are taking the products. And, we've had relatives go through cancer, go through all kinds of challenges. And I want the confidence that I can recommend and support those individuals with our products.
Welcome to Beauty and the Biohacker, where we explore the latest tools and trends in self-care, aesthetics, and peak performance to help you live your most beautiful life from the inside out. I'm your co-host, Rachel Varga, a board-certified aesthetic nurse specialist since 2011 with over 19,000 rejuvenation treatments performed on thousands of patients.
And I'm Katie Moore, a self-proclaimed biohacker with 3 years of self-experimenting in the space of health and wellness technology. I'm on a mission to help you achieve success without sacrificing your health or happiness through my YouTube channel, Katie Type A.
So join us as we sit down with some of the biggest innovators in the health space, the movers and shakers of the wellness world,
and unpack some of the biggest secrets in the skincare and longevity space. We are Beauty and the Biohacker, and we're thrilled to have you along for the ride.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. We are going to discuss one of our favorite and delicious superfood brands called Organifi. And we're going to talk about what makes their formulas so special. So before we get into today's show, let me tell you a little bit about our guest, Mae Steigler, and her background and all sorts of stuff, because this is going to be a really nerdy episode on helping you consume your superfoods safely, helping you to detox other things in your environment as well, and follow a more alkaline way of being. Mae grew up in Northern California, learning many of her life lessons in her parents' organic garden. She believes health, vitality, the ability to nourish our bodies, minds, and spirit begins with our simplest daily choices. Because of this, Mae enjoys designing rituals from routines, finding wonder and presence in nature, and doing challenging, meaningful work. Mae graduated from California Polytechnic State University in San Luis Obispo with a Bachelor's of Science in Animal Science and Nutrition. As a research and development scientist, she studied temperature monitoring to improve animal well-being, decreasing the overuse of antibiotics in the dairy industry and within our food system. This work led Mae to study human health and change psychology 3 years later, ultimately meeting Drew Canal in 2010 and Djemer Battar in 2012, the founders of Organifi. Now serving as Organifi's CEO and a member of the founding team, Mae brings over 15 years of experience in the agriculture and health industry. Since being founded in 2014, she has played a key role in Organifi making Inc. 5,000's fastest growing companies list and being awarded Forbes Great Places to Work more than 4 years in a row. Mae lives in San Diego, one of my favorite cities in the world. Best fish tacos ever, California, with her husband, and loves playing pickleball, paddleboarding, birding, discovering new local coffee shops, and the amazing foodie culture. Drink your greens and superfoods with Organifi's delicious formulations with both hot and cold options. Be sure to use promo code BB and save at organifishop.com/pages/BB. You can also find these special links in the description of this episode and also on our favorites page to help you save a big time. Welcome, 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 Mae from Organifi. How are you today?
I'm so good. Thank you, Rachel. It's a treat to be here. I'm really excited for this episode together. Thank you.
So I have a pop quiz. What did you drink this morning from the Organifi line?
Well, I like this combination. One of my favorites, pure and red juice. So it's my pre-workout actually right now. It's great for mental cognition and circulation with the beets and cordyceps. So dual
Nice.
combination mixed together. That was my morning combo so far.
Also, Rachel drinks her green juice hot. I'm more of a cold person, but I guess you could do both, right?
It has matcha in
You'd be
it.
surprised.
It's
Yes.
got matcha. It's got the matcha morning vibe for me. I love it.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, let's get straight into it. I'm so excited. I know we have so many things to discuss, but I think I kind of want to just get right into it because there are so many juice options out there, superfood powders. Like, I mean, you go on some of the big sites like Amazon and you can get just really lost in the sauce, right? Like, there's so many things. But one of the things I love about Organifi is the purity of ingredients. And I know that you guys work your tails off to source ingredients and to put together a compilation that just really makes sense and kind of really hits home for me. And I'm sure so many other people. And so I just would love to talk a little bit kind of about the product line in general and what you're thinking about how you're sourcing the ingredients. What does it look like behind the scenes?
Absolutely love it. Yeah, and this is, I think, a really important conversation to have right now. As a consumer myself, there's, to your point, a ton of options, and it can be really overwhelming, and often is. And so I think quality standards are something that, one, I'm excited for, and very optimistic about more consumer education in this space. Of course, what we put in our bodies has intense consequence, good and bad, right? And so it's really important to look at the quality standards of the supplements, of the food that we're putting in our bodies in general. And so what I really want to emphasize and focus on, and hopefully today we'll get into some good detail as well, is just really how to distinguish quality standards in a supplement industry that is highly unregulated. It's not FDA regulated, and in many ways that creates a lot of great opportunity. But in also other ways, it can have just challenges for consumers having quality standards that they can trust. And so really looking for, and kind of where we started with Organifi 10 years ago now, 7 with the brand and 10 with the two co-founders, Jamel and Drew. We really focused on, it was all about juicing. So we were really focused on whole foods, and we're actually kind of surprisingly kind of anti-supplementation. We were really focused on making great juice recipes for health and vitality, and really focused on organic ingredients. And that was back when, like, organic wasn't that big of a deal, and it wasn't in Costco yet. And, I was just kind of just starting in some ways to be more of a general public phenomenon. And I'm so glad now today it's like a standard in many ways, thank goodness. But that quality standard was something that we really focused on first with juicing, because you're really getting concentrated nutrients in your body. And so with Organifi, that was the foundation of the quality standard we brought in to make juicing easier. That was the first kind of obstacle that we overcame. And as a consumer, like, I'm so grateful to not be juicing anymore. It was a lot of work, and that was kind of the first the first way we served our customers nearly 8 years ago or so, was just making juicing easier. Do you guys remember juicing, or do you juice now occasionally?
I don't anymore, and I don't even buy juice because it's so expensive. And
Crazy, right?
and yeah, and you're right. It's like between buying the vegetables, making sure that everything is organic and then washed, and then you have to put it through. It's so much work.
A lot.
And I one of the things too that I kind of I think you alluded to is like supplements versus kind of juice. And people talk about, well, when you sort of consume your food, you're getting the most bioavailable form of it versus
Yeah.
taking it in a capsule, right? And so that's one of the things that I think is so profound about having everything in this powder form that's so easily available and rich in all these phytonutrients. And so, just a very key thing for all the listeners out there, like bioavailability is huge. Like,
It's real. It's really
it's a
real.
real thing.
And and kind of evolving from that juicing starting place. One, I'm grateful not to be juicing every day anymore because of the hassle, and to be incorporating really easily foods that I wouldn't normally be able to get. So ashwagandha, key adaptogen that's in our green juice. Early on, we couldn't have known how powerful the research behind that adaptogen really is, in terms of stress reducing, cortisol reducing, everything from weight management to healthy sexual function to stress reduction in general, of course, cortisol balancing. But we really were looking at this as, like, how can we make the best juice recipe at first? And we happened to have moringa, chlorella, spirulina, ashwagandha. That was that core formula and recipe. And it was a juice that, and even with like turmeric in it, that would have been, one, really expensive and really hard to juice every day. So we knew that. And so from the very beginning, and since then have, of course, evolved more into a superfood adaptogen brand. But we started with those kind of origins. And to your point, really focusing on whole food nutrition. So every ingredient is whole food based. We don't have synthetic vitamins or minerals added for the benefit of your body doing its best with that ingredient, from the very beginning. And kind of that, and I'll kind of loop back, to close the loop on our, the evolution as a company we've had with supplementation, because I really firmly believe, and from the beginning, we've always believed that your body can do incredible things when given the right nutrients, when given the right ingredients. Pretty much magical. It's amazing what our bodies are capable of. And so with that knowledge, we always thought kind of food is medicine. And when you're eating well and eating right, you don't need supplementation. The reality is, and really where supplementation is so, I think, beneficial today, and since then has really evolved in the company, is the understanding that the toxins in the environment, the low quality of our standard food, has really, really made it necessary to fine tune how we eat, and in many ways supplement with great, adaptogens and superfoods, and not like, hey, you're taking, vitamin B because you're not eating it, but like really, really focused on getting great food in consistently and conveniently. And then hopefully today we'll touch on the other unique part is really enjoyably. So making great tasting superfoods that, you're not having to blend with 10 other things, including banana and all kinds of sweetness to mask the flavor of the superfood you're trying to get the benefit of. And so the recipes and the formulations really mattered, and we took time with that to make sure it tasted the best.
Beautiful. And I will add that I don't need to juice because I have Organifi, and your supplements are, Katie and I are going to do a follow-up episode to this, just talking about how much we do love Organifi. I can't make this stuff up, but what I've been doing in my life is I don't really have time to juice and all of that. So I'm always looking for highly alkaline superfood formulations. And a lot of supplements I've tried haven't really tasted that great. Organifi is like every single flavor. As soon as I got my shipment, I got the whole spec. I got all of them. And I recommend when you order them to literally order all of them, because the Cocoa Harmony one, I'll put in my coffee. The Glow one, I'll make a cocktail with. The greens one, in both the green juice in original, I actually have as my morning matcha. And then the gold one is just like, they're all just so good. And what I love about having our superfoods in this form is that when things are in a liquid form, they're actually going to be a little bit more bioavailable and easier to digest. And it's very difficult to buy all of these ingredients and make a juice that's going to be as potent to this one. And to add to juicing, no, I'm not doing juicing, but I'm doing another cleanse to clear out toxins, yeast, fungi, and other organisms. And when my Organifi shipment came, within about an hour or two, I actually started to feel a lot better. So thank you for making an incredible product. And Mae, I would love to just hear your story as an unexpected entrepreneur, what exactly the Organifi mission is, because I'm just going to straight up say this. We said this before recording, that there is an energy to Organifi. There's a frequency to the products, and I feel it when I consume it. And what's the culture around your amazing superfood products?
I absolutely love that. We are all about energy, as energy is literally everything. So it's very much infused in the intentionality with the products being liquid light, like quite honestly, as vibrant foods are full of energy. And so really looking for, and kind of we touched on it with the highest quality ingredients, but I'll give a short background on, and I think again, the introduction you offered is amazing. Growing up in, just with the standard being organic homegrown food, I think what I'm really passionate about is making high quality food available to as many people as possible, and really breaking down the limitations to that or boundaries to that for people. So really making it approachable to eat well and live well today by having that great food. And so I grew up in 40 acres of gardens. My mom is visiting right now, actually, so I've been having such a fun time playing pickleball with her. But grew up, my parents are still like always gardening and picking fresh raspberries and blueberries from the garden, and really the ability to enjoy and thrive with seasonal eating naturally. And so I'm really interested in it and passionate about bringing that back. Rachel, you mentioned Glow, and that's a seasonal product that we release. It's a collagen, there it is, a natural collagen support, and it's plant-based, so it really supports your body's natural ability to create collagen and produce collagen. And it does require vitamin C, and the amla in there is incredibly science-backed, along with the tremella mushroom, just amazing for the body. And we release it seasonally on purpose because this is the time of year that for the US, majority of people are outdoors more, we're exposed to sunshine more. And so really perpetuating the idea that it's not everything all the time, but it's really looking at how do we as human beings thrive more seasonally? How do we become more conscious of what we put in our bodies to help our natural ability to do well under certain seasons, right? Whether it's cold and flu season later in the year, right? Boost up on vitamin D and immunity, ideally, and or if it's summertime, really protecting our skin. So again,
This is my
background.
husband's favorite product, by the way, the glow
My
one.
husband
It's
too.
adorable.
Yeah.
Yes, your
He loves
background.
it for hair. Yeah. My husband as well absolutely adores glow, and so he actually mixes that with green every morning. Very much into supporting his follicular health, his hair health, and skin, of course, since we're both outside a lot. So so my background again, and just kind of telling that story, coming from and kind of getting that stark realization that it's not that easy and accessible for most people. Again, growing up in a lot of nature, a lot of whole organic foods that my parents grew. My sister and I had a lot of benefit that many don't. And so really passionate about bridging that gap for people, and very much went through really experiencing the dysfunction of our food systems when I was in agriculture. So very much at farm level, witnessing how basically dairy cows don't thrive when they're not fed the food that they're meant to digest. And really, I recognized I was solving the wrong problem. I was, again, trying to reduce antibiotic use in the animal health industry. I'm still very passionate about that. And it really bridges into our food system and being effective both for animals and humans in a big way, and really looking towards the future of our food systems for sure. But in that kind of chapter in my life, I really got to recognize how much food quality matters, and really regenerative food systems are really exciting, and somewhere where I'm really, really passionate to play into in the future, and hoping that Organifi continues to support organic and regenerative agriculture and in general, the way that we source our ingredients. And then really what brought me to Organifi and Drew Canole, the founder, and Jamal was health coaching. So I was in the nutrition space. I recognized I was solving maybe the wrong problem, and so focused on consumer nutrition and health coaching and personal training 10 years ago. And so much of the background of this juicing community, and again, the origins of Organifi, was about educating consumers on how they could give their bodies high quality food and watch a transformation happen. Like, just it's amazing what we're capable of when we feed ourselves well and take care of ourselves. And so much of that is more of the energy around making change in our lives, and recognizing that so much of that had to do with our mindsets. And so you talk about the energy behind the product, and just again, very big loop that I'm making right now to come back to. And a lot of it was psychology of change when we were doing coaching programs and coaching juicing for health and wellness and vitality, and talking about, when we look at how do we give our bodies what it needs to make change, it's a completely different energetic state to start from, instead of how do I, at the time, 10 years ago, restrictive diets were really big. They probably still are, unfortunately, where we just, cut everything out and then kind of force our bodies to change. And what we were really trying to communicate and work with our coaching groups around was, how can you, again, switch that mentality to imagine what you can give your body and what your body can do with that. And that changed energetic state. And even when we've made that first product, it was, really giving your body the highest quality nutrition possible, and imagining, the mentality of investing in your health, of course, is behind that. And as you focus on organic, ideally glyphosate residue free, right? Reducing any chemicals in your diet, and giving your body the best that's possible. Even if you're intermittent fasting, you're giving your body a rest, right? Instead of taking away food. That mentality and energy behind the products really matters and translates. And it also shaped, what we decided not to put in the product. So you mentioned, Rachel, the alkalinity of the products and how it's supporting you in your cleanse that I'm so excited about and just inspired by. And really importantly, focused on anti-inflammatory profiles with all the products. So very low or no sugar, right? So like we really over 3 grams in many ways is a lot, especially with the diets that most people have today. And so really focused on very low to no sugar. We used monk fruit instead of stevia since it was a little bit less of a gut disruptor. And of course, there you go. And of course, doesn't spike blood sugar for people that were going through metabolic repair. And then we really focused on ensuring that there was no dairy, of course, no gluten, no soy, right? So all that primary inflammatory foods that can cause an acidic experience in the body, we made sure we're not in the product, and of course test for those. And now outside of elevating beyond organic, very much focused on non-glyphosate, so glyphosate residue free, which is basically the original antibiotic, but it's a pesticide, chemical, herbicide that is used in mass quantities on a lot of our food and is a really, really intense toxin for the human body. And so just making sure that as much as we can, we're testing for and removing, not removing, but testing for and ensuring there isn't any of these chemicals and or things that would just be obstacles to people feeling their best.
I just want to harp on one thing for our
Go.
audience. This, I think, and you might be able to quote me if I'm wrong, May, but you guys, I think, are the only company that's doing actual COA testing on all of your products. And I think that's something that is, and that's a sort of certificate of analysis of really making sure that it is 100%, free of all these toxins and glyphosates, and you're making sure that it is the highest quality possible product that you're sending to consumers. And I feel like that's sort of the biggest differentiator. I mean, among other things, but a huge differentiator. And I think that's really where the industry is going to go, because I think people want to know that they
Hope
can
so.
put their trust 100% in any product that you come out with. And I have to say, like, there are a lot of brands out there and they're not doing that testing. It's because it's expensive and it's laborious, right? I mean, but
It,
it has to be done.
it's definitely an investment, and a really important one, given that the industry isn't widely regulated. So we kind of have to lean on those third party tests. And the reality is, like, I'm taking the product, the whole team is taking the products, our families are taking the products, and we've had relatives go through cancer, go through all kinds of challenges, and I want the confidence that I can recommend and support those individuals with our products without wondering, is it what I know it to have in there? Can I make sure that it is as well? So as a company, I think it's very much our absolute responsibility, and I'm very excited to see more and more companies doing this with the C of A's available to both consumers, but of course as just best practice. And we actually just recently made them available to consumers, but we've always had them internally for our process. And I think even kind of how we open this conversation, the consumer education gap is still something that I really want to support closing, because what happens so often is I think we had a podcast like maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 months ago where the host was calling out like companies that didn't do this. And we had a lot of customers call in and request the C of A's, and we're happy to produce them and basically give them out. But the challenge was interpreting the C of A for the consumer, because it's like a lab test. And then it only relates to the ingredients that we're testing for that product, the lot numbers and the ingredients. And so I think it does require a little bit of self-education. As a consumer, though, I'd highly recommend requesting and just ensuring that the company does that, for one. So if they have them, awesome. That's the first step. If you can read them and interpret them, great, even better. But I think it's a really good practice, one, to look for companies that are doing this, just for the point that you made. And then, really, and I think kind of the base recommendation I offer too, even for my own friends and family, if they're looking at other supplements, I say look for USDA organic, and then look for basically certifications that are third-party qualifiers to validate the ingredients, right? Yes, GDP is super important. It's basically just good manufacturing practices, even making sure the facility is well kept, and some of those can help with the quality testing. But really, you want to lean on the quality standards that have to verify what you say is in the product is in the product. So as a consumer, look for those quality standard labels, and then request C of A's. And again, just to ensure that the company themselves is managing that and can furnish them is pretty important.
So I have a bit of a nerdy question for
Let's
you
go.
here, Mae. Thank you so much for sharing some of those resources on enhancing transparency and standardization. Because those of you who listen to the show, we are literally training you to be hyper vigilant in every single decision in your life, to be more conscious consumers. And Mae, we've been preaching from the rooftops for using products that are third-party independent lab tested. And just thank you so much for your trust in us and Katie and I on the show here too, and your support. We're very grateful to be partnering with you. How can Organifi help clear toxins and support cleanses? Because I'm going through it. And within an hour or two, when I got my shipment in, I literally made like a drink with a scoop of everything and tried them all. And then 1 or 2 hours later, I just felt literally limitless. It took me out of this organism die off, feeling toxic, feeling gross, feeling low. And then all of a sudden, just a little bit more high vibe. Is that related to a more alkaline state? Is that related to the energetics? What's the science? What's the woo? Let's get into it.
Let's get a little into it. We'll start with the science, then we'll get into the woo. So, being low sugar is going to help with clearing toxins, parasites. You know that no matter what, a lot of those parasites thrive with sugar, candidas, all kinds of stuff, right? They're actually looking for it. So, if you're putting alkaline foods in your body with low sugar, like you're in a good spot. So, it's definitely going to help. The fundamental side of it, too, with all the products having adaptogens and superfoods in them, is they're naturally going to help your body reduce stress levels. So it's just that balancing effect that, and as I keep kind of harping on, like your body knows what to do naturally. Like, thank goodness. I am so grateful for that, by the way. Your body is just innately so intelligent. So it's naturally clearing toxins. It's naturally cleansing your body. Like what your body runs through every minute, every day is so much of this process. And as human beings, we really make it hard for our bodies sometimes by what we put in it, our lifestyles, our sleeping patterns, like our habits in general, which again, super nerd in that space. So I'd love to chat there, but really, the products are going to help balance your body to do what it does best and maximize that cleanse, maximize clearing toxins. It's just like helping your liver function as it should, helping your kidneys function as they should, and really supporting it. So you're infusing massive, micronutrients, massive support for your body, and then really helping with some key and science-backed clinical dose amounts of adaptogens, which is really key. Clinical dose-backed adaptogens to support balancing your hormone levels, and so much of that dictates, it's like your master regulatory system, right? So if your cortisol is balanced, then your sex hormones are balanced. Then your even antidiuretic hormone, your thirst mechanism is rebalanced. So it really helps. It's all feedback loops. The endocrine system is incredibly intelligent, and so if we got into kind of that side of it, it's just that balancing mechanism that can support your body doing what ultimately you're hoping it does.
Have to just make a quick comment. Like, there is something so beautiful about adaptogens in general. And we've had a couple of mushroom foragers on the show in the past that from Alama mushrooms and Wild Kingdom, and it always comes back to this principle, and it's just such a fundamental principle of life. It's like yin and yang, right? Positive, negative, right? Everything is that kind of electric charge, and so when you do too much of a stimulation or you do too much of a depression or you're kind of like bringing yourself into a very relaxed and comfortable state. Like, it's that middle ground where you want to operate from all the time,
Yeah.
right? Like on your day-to-day basis. And I think that's what's so beautiful about every product that you make, is it's really focused around that beautiful intention. And so, which leads me to a question, kind of just a curiosity more. What is it like, what sparks you guys to come out with a new product? Is it because I know we've talked in the past about like how a lot of companies will see there's a need in the market or even a personal need. And I'm just curious because you guys started with like the green juice and the red juice, and that was it. And now your line has expanded to protein shakes and cacao harmony blends and gold. And it's phenomenal. And I love every single thing that you guys have. But I'm just curious, what is it that, like, what kind of conversation happens when you're like, we need to come out with this product and let's go do the research and figure out what components are going to go into it?
This is a fun spot. So I'll give you the behind the scenes, which is like the original where we started with product evolution. And we actually didn't even think we'd come out with a bunch. We were like, oh, this is it, right? Because we solved like a core need for our customers originally. And then I'll talk about the evolution of where we are today and what kind of instigates and kind of more, I think, the vision of Organifi behind products, which is really exciting. So the original way that we made this product, we came out with the green juice, making the best, solving juicing, right? Hey, juicing made easy. We're like, it's delicious. Yep, best recipe you can get right here. Solve that problem. And what we recognized in kind of the early evolution of products was the benefits that customers were talking about was energy. They were talking about feeling less joint pain. They were talking about sleeping better. And immediately we thought, oh, like that wasn't quite the expectation, but we're so glad. Like we knew that, again, nourishing your body, it's amazing what you can unlock, right? All these different facets. But we immediately started thinking, well, we could make a product for that. Like we could probably do a blend for that. A lot of the initial felt experience from trying green juice for the first time was actually better digestion. As you reduce cortisol, and that 600 milligrams of ashwagandha in the green juice reduces stress in the body, and your digestion is supported directly, right? You end up with less, less digestive despair because of that, or you end up sleeping better because of that, right? So lots of cascading benefits. So because of that, we actually came out with a probiotic next. And then with the notes on energy, we're like, well, you can use cordyceps and rhodiola and panax ginseng and beets to actually naturally increase energy without caffeine, and that's red juice. Gold was better sleep. We're like, hey, let's do a clinical dose of lemon balm. Let's do turmeric for nighttime recovery and anti-inflammation. That's gold, right? So we just started working through these our customers were telling us the benefits they were seeing from our core products, and we just expanded. And so we really focused on, with each product, one key clinically backed ingredient that was for the benefit of the core product. And then we made a synergistic blend of additional ingredients that would help both the experience of that product and, in a whole foods fashion, the benefits of it. So it was just a really fun process to organically do that. So very much that's where the first lines came from. And now how we look at it is much more the vision for Organifi, which is we firmly don't believe that good sleep requires sleeping pills. We firmly don't believe that good digestion requires laxatives, right? We firmly don't believe that like these areas in our lifestyles as human beings, and it's kind of like challenging life expectations, right? We don't believe that as you get older, you are less active. So how can we feel great at each decade of our life, right? And so really looking at these areas, and you called it out, Katie, which was the focus on like Harmony, a women's health product, and really focused on cycle support and hormone balancing. And so we really looked at where can adaptogens play in the biggest way and the most effective way, where our customer base and maybe even our team is experiencing the limitations of kind of where people are using maybe pharmaceuticals a lot, or stimulants a lot, or something outside of their natural health. And to bring it back to energy, we really look at that balance, right? Yin and yang. And that is adaptogens. So adaptogens are here to support our bodies naturally back to homeostasis, which is really, really, I think, a gentle comparison compared to a stimulant, which is quite antagonistic energetically, right? And so both the product innovation process and kind of our way of looking out into the future, there's so many areas where we want to help address consumers having a healthy alternative to allow their bodies to work magically like they're made to, and to reduce the use of toxins, chemicals, stimulants, and inflammatory things that we have kind of relied on and been told is the expectation, right? I think the average American is on 12 medications by the time they're 60, which is outrageous. And so really trying to support consumers having an alternative, and really being able to support their body feeling great.
Wonderfully stated. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Do you have any closing words for our episode here today? I know that Katie and I are going to do a follow-up episode on our testimonials of just like how much we love the product and how we integrate them and why we're so passionate about sharing Organifi. But do you have any closing words? And yes, of course, we'd love to have you back on the show to do follow-up, because
I would
I
love
feel
that.
we're just scratching the surface of what the company is all about. You're not only making great products, but you have a really great culture. But do you have any closing words that you'd like to share with everybody tuning in to the show today?
Thank you. And I've really enjoyed the conversation. I hope to continue it and totally appreciate the time. And I think the closing thought would just be the encouragement to look at your wellness as something that can be wildly enjoyable. It's as someone who's been passionately exploring like optimum living and just like trying things on, I think it's so important to, in many ways, while being dedicated to that and hopefully individually being I'm inviting everyone to be dedicated to living your best life and health and vitality, and to in many ways hold it loosely. So it's not white knuckling the idea that I have to run for an hour every day to live my best life, but instead looking at each chapter of your life and saying, how can this be the healthiest I've ever been? And really having an enjoyable time exploring it. It's the basis of bringing like hopefully the best tasting, most convenient products to our marketplace that Organifi is so passionate about, which I am as well. But individually, really enjoying the journey of deepening my understanding for health and wellness personally, and I just really hope to share that with people. So thank you guys for the time here, and really appreciated the conversation.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show, Mae. And drink your greens and superfoods. Be more alkaline. You're going to be a more pure vessel in regards to your body, mind, spirit, and energy. That's what we talk about here on the show. And check out Organifi's delicious formulations. I like every single flavor because I get supplement taste fatigue. And this is like straight up mocktails. If you're having a party, serve these with some ice, forget alcohol. Feel good. It's like serve things that are going to make your friends feel better. They're great for both hot and cold options. Be sure to use promo code BB and save at organifishop.com/pages/BB. We'll also link up the direct link in the show notes here. But Katie and I totally stand by these products. And thank you so much, Mae, for being on the show and creating awesome products that Katie and I use. And we're excited for all of you tuning in to start to use as well.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into Beauty and the Biohacker today. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to leave a comment or share it on your social media account and we'll give you a shout out. And don't forget to head over to beautyandthebiohacker.com to check out all our episodes and our favorites page, where we include our curated list of products with special discount codes just for you guys. And while you're there, sign up for our newsletter because we're sharing some exclusive content and giveaways you won't want to miss.